The conflict with Iran has now surpassed the 60-day mark. Critics say Congress must authorize further military operations under the War Powers Act, but President Trump says otherwise.
Mr. President, it's day 60. Are you going to seek congressional authorization for...
Well, no other country has ever done it. It's never been, as you know, most people consider it totally unconstitutional. Also, we had a ceasefire, so that gives you additional time. But no other country's done it. We're in the midst of a big victory.
Yeah, this comes as the U.S. is sending $8 billion in arms sales to the Middle East and is reportedly deploying its new Dark Eagle hypersonic missile to the region. Joining us now is the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and fellow explosive ordnance disposal technician, Rick Crawford. Chairman, thanks for joining us. We'll talk about the important stuff in a minute. First, this is important as well, the war in Iran. Some members of Congress say that there's a War Powers Act needed. The president says that's not quite the case. Do you think your colleagues are on board with continuing this operation in order to see it to its end?
I think so. I think what you're going to see is a continuation of kind of the legal parsing here, but the president is getting legal advice, and I think he's acting on that legal advice. And so we'll see what happens, but these continued military operations, is it a formal declaration of war? Does it require a formal declaration of war? We'll let the legal eagles kind of make that determination, but there has been a pause. I don't know if that constitutes a reset or not. Again, I'm not the legal scholar on this deal, but I know that there are a lot of folks that whatever the president does, they will disagree with, and that's part of the problem that we have in this country, is that they just tend to reflexively disagree without ever giving it any further consideration because it's President Trump.
Certainly. Well, Chairman, aside from all the legal ramifications of all this, I just want to take it back to the kitchen table. There are a lot of Trump supporters out there that support the president. They believe in the mission, but they're also looking at their gas prices, and they're going, oh, this is getting a little uncomfortable. We're entering the summer season. We hope that it wraps up soon, but we also have an understanding that you can't just wrap it up because then it will all be for nothing. So as far as Republicans going into the midterms, wanting to support the president, but also feeling the pinch from their constituents, what do you think the change in tone is going to be as this thing creeps into another week, another week, another week?
Yeah, that's a good point, because we are starting to see those gas prices increase, and I think a lot of this, and I don't want to blame anybody. Obviously, we do see that there's some things going on in Iran, but there's an awful lot of speculation driving this as well. So, I mean, the hedge funds that spec trade daily on oil futures, and they do this in a way that is, they close out the day and then start tomorrow, and a lot of that creates volatility. And so this is based on perceptions day to day. And so if we could start to see some real change in the supply chain with regard to the Venezuelan oil now becoming part of that supply, we might start to see that those prices start to decline. But as you know, prices go up like a rocket, they come down like a parachute, so it's going to take a little bit of time. But the real question is here, I mean, I know it's uncomfortable. I feel it too. But it would be much more uncomfortable for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. They were very, very close, and they were had expressed for the last 47 years death to America, death to Israel, and they were really a step or two away from actually acting on that.
Chairman, if the president were to decide that seeking congressional authorization for the ongoing conflict were necessary, would there be sufficient support for such an authorization among your Republican colleagues right now in the conference?
You know, that's a tough question, because there are some folks that are just sort of ideologically opposed to what they consider to be, just foreign entanglements, and they see this as another step in that direction. So I'm not sure it would be a slam dunk, but at the same time, I think there's an awful lot of support for President Trump, and there's also a recognition that Iran is a threat not only to the United States and our allies in the region, but certainly as it applies to the potential for eliminating Israel. I mean, they have the capability to do that, and I think that's why the president felt it was necessary for us to step in and protect not only America, but our allies in the region.
Chairman Crawford, I think anybody with a brain realizes that Iran is a huge threat to the region and the world, and it's like an octopus with arms and tentacles, and a threat to Israel, as you just said. But I don't know how much you can talk about this on air, but as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, what is the downstream impact on Russia and China in terms of their involvement peripherally?
Well, you know, on the front end, you see that they're observing everything that's taking place right now. So this is giving them some insights into how to address the United States, you know, in a conflict. On the other hand, what you have are they are trying to find sort of backdoors in to help Iran. So China providing some material help to Iran, certainly moral support, Russia as well. China is a key driver of the Iranian economy because they're their primary consumer of their oil products. And so there is a lot of connective tissue between and among Iran, China, and Russia. So not only economically but militarily. So you have, you know, Russia is giving them some tips on how to address, for example, you know, drone warfare as it's taking place in Ukraine. China is maybe developing some new weapon systems that they'd like to see tried out. This is an opportunity for them to do those kinds of things. And then, of course, you have the economic issues as well. So they are not directly involved, but certainly on the periphery they are.
Thank you.
Chairman, real quick, this is another topic I would love to talk to you about. I think you and I understand as much as anyone. Today is National Explosive Ordnance Disposal Day. Of course, that's the bomb techs in the military. We're honoring the brave men and women who render safe and dispose of hazardous devices and everything that connects to that. Our acting Navy Secretary Hung Kao is currently, from my understanding, the highest ranking EOD tech. Chairman Crawford, you know, you're also a former EOD technician, but now you're the chairman of a Congressional EOD caucus, so you're still involved. I'd love your reflection on, you know, what today means to you.
Well, were it not for the fact that my daughter's graduating high school tomorrow, I'd be at the EOD Memorial right now. So it's important to me. I've been down there several times. I visit the schoolhouse frequently. It is a brotherhood that's unlike many others in the military, in that it was a joint service before joint service was cool.
Exactly.
As you know, having been through the school, and this has been a joint service community really from the beginning. It's a Navy school. The current schoolhouse moved from Indian Head, Maryland, down to Eglin Air Force Base. So you have a Navy school and an Air Force base, all four branches of the military training together. The Navy gets a little additional training, obviously, because of the underwater piece. But by and large, we're almost interchangeable in a manner of speaking. The training is, as you know, is very extensive, and it's something that you. I mean, my dad's an EOD guy. He's retired.
Oh, wow.
So not only is it joint service, but it's intergenerational. And so I go back a long way in the EOD community, and I'm just really proud of my association with the EOD family, and always celebrate this day as much as I can, to the extent that I can, and I always enjoy going back and visiting and supporting the EOD community.
Chairman, we appreciate you coming on. Of course, we appreciate your service. I know you've got your music stuff going on too, so we'll just get on social media and check out all the things you have going on. And congratulations to your daughter. Chairman Rick Crawford, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.